down! Get down on the floor now! Shoot your hands behind your back now!
Here at the Fake Britain House, we'll reveal the fakes that are flooding the market, conning people like you and me, and making money for the criminals. We'll investigate the fraudsters who are selling us something that isn't real and could be dangerous. And we'll help you avoid falling for a fake. Today on Fake Britain, fake fire-resistant glass installed in British buildings.
If a fire had broken out, the results could have been catastrophic.
Fake Nectar cards that are leaving thousands deceived and disappointed.
To us, it was a lifeline, but that lifeline disappeared because somebody took it away from us.
The fake halal meat con that targeted a huge Muslim community.
Some people would literally be sick thinking that they may have eaten something which is not halal.
And officers reveal the hidden tunnels beneath a London high street.
They're hiding it in the old coal cellars. Unfortunately for them, I find it usually.
The devastation caused by fire has never been so much in people's minds, so the need to be reassured about a building's fire safety is more important than ever. Fire-resistant glass is used in thousands of places like hospitals, schools and offices. It's designed to save lives by holding back the flames. If your life depended on this, however, you'd be in trouble. It's fake. It won't stop a fire, and it was discovered in many buildings across the country. Fire can break out in a building at any time.
So I went to the kitchen, I've opened the window, I can hear shouting and screaming, someone going, it's getting bigger, it's getting bigger.
It's tragic occurrences like the Grenfell Tower that reinforce just how important it is for buildings to have the correct fire safety measures in place.
Everyone's just in shock, you know, they've cheered, and it went right up, there weren't no stopping it.
When fire rips through large buildings, key escape routes must be constructed to hold back the fire and smoke to allow people to get out alive. When buildings are made of glass, it's even more complex. Escape routes must be built with a specialist fire-resistant glass which is designed to withstand both flames and heat. Jim Flynn at the London Fire Brigade knows just how important this product is.
When you've got a normal pane of glass that is subjected to a fire and the heat, that would generally fracture and fail. So the fire safety glass prevents that from happening, as a solid wall and a door would do.
But what would the consequences be if it was fake? Sadly, it's a question Detective Sergeant Colin Gray from the Police Service of Northern Ireland was forced to answer. Colin received a worrying tip-off suggesting a company in Northern Ireland called Glassworks Ireland, headed up by this man, Seamus Lafferty, was supplying fake fire-resistant glass to construction companies all over Britain.
Contractors in Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland approached Glassworks Ireland with a view to getting a genuine fire safety glass for their numerous projects, and I have a section of it here with me.
Colin was concerned that if the fire-resistant glass was fake and had been installed in British buildings, it could have huge repercussions. And as the suspect glass was examined, Colin's worst fears were confirmed.
What Glassworks Ireland were doing was applying that stamp to the glass. That then deceived their client base into believing that this was a genuine fire glass, when in fact it was fake.
The fake stamp was etched with a logo belonging to PyroGuard, a company that has been manufacturing genuine fire-resistant glass for over 30 years. And Colin discovered Mr. Lafferty further deceived his buyers by supplying fake safety certificates.
This certificate shows the type of glass that has been installed, it shows the specification of that glass, and it shows you how to look after that glass. It reinforced to the customer that they were receiving a genuine product, but in fact the glass was fake.
But that wasn't the only worrying find. Colin had discovered the fake fire-resistant glass had already been installed in a number of public buildings, including schools, churches and hospitals. If a fire broke out and the fake fire-resistant glass didn't hold back the flames like the genuine glass, Colin knew thousands of lives could be lost. Without a second to waste, Colin sent a sample of the fake glass to PyroGuard, the company who make this genuine fire-resistant glass. Vincent Crook carried out an immediate assessment.
On the face of it, it might not be clear that this wasn't fire resistant.
But as Vincent examined it further, the truth of the shocking fakery was revealed.
If I have a look at the edge here, you can see that the interlayer is suspiciously thin. Well, I don't know any fire-resistant glasses, certainly not Paragard, that has an interlayer as thin as that.
Vincent is going to test the fake glass to see how it would react in a real fire.
Thanks, Ian. We're going to subject the glass to 730 degrees quite rapidly here. This is something like the situation you'll see in a real fire.
Now remember, this glass would be used to protect an exit route in the event of a fire, and the claim is it will hold out for 16 minutes.
3 minutes into the test, a little bit of smoke there, we can see the glass is bubbling. The interlayer now is starting to boil in between the two layers of glass.
In less than 6 minutes, the fake fire-resistant glass is literally in pieces.
Well, these fakes are very dangerous. The glass is put there by building regulations, stipulated that you should have 60-minute fire resistance for a reason, so people can escape a building in a fire situation, so that the glass can hold the fire back and allow people to escape. This glass isn't holding fire back at all. It's not allowing people to escape in time, therefore endangering people's lives.
Both Vincent and Colin now knew they were dealing with some serious fakery that could have grave consequences.
This glass is fake. It is not fire glass.
It would decompose very quickly and is very likely to catch fire.
When that goes on fire, it gives off the toxic fumes.
We had a lot of smoke to the environment. It would make the situation worse than the initial fire in the first place.
In effect, creating a death trap.
There's been a lot of lives put at risk here unnecessarily.
As Jim from the London Fire Brigade casts his eye over the test footage, he's disturbed by the potential loss of life this fake fire-resistant glass could have caused.
To go down a corridor with this glass fitted would be a risk to their lives, to be honest, after it's caught fire after 6 minutes. That is extremely shocking. Hypothetically, if we'd had a fire within one of these, for example, a boarding school where you've got people that are sleeping and this fire safety glass, the fake stuff was fitted in the escape routes and a fire did occur, I'd be extremely concerned for the people making their escape past it.
It doesn't even bear thinking about. Mr. Lafferty intentionally put thousands of people's lives at risk in order to line his pockets. The fake fire-resistant glass was actually standard laminate glass, which Mr. Lafferty was buying for around £12 a square metre. He sold it as fire-resistant glass for up to £240 a square metre, which earned him around £145,000. And the sheer scale of the fake glass Colin discovered is equally as shocking.
We have an excess of 20 to 30 tonnes of glass here behind me, and there's still approximately another 10 tonnes sitting with a supplier. So there is quite a volume of glass.
68 buildings across Britain and the Republic of Ireland, including a nursing home for the elderly, universities, churches, hospitals and schools had unwittingly had fake fire-resistant glass installed. It was even discovered inside the iconic Titanic building.
If a fire had broken out at any of those locations, the results could have been catastrophic.
How do you even come across the idea to make fake glass? Why would you ever want to do it? Is it cheaper? Is it because it's cheap? Is that the reason why?
What's shocking is that people are prepared to do this, and to make money at people's misery.
Are those people just not thinking about the consequences of what they do? It's just really terrible, absolutely terrible.
To lose lives and potentially lose the injuries and possible life, of course, it's awful.
Colin and the team carried out a long and complex investigation to track down all the fake fire-resistant glass that had been installed. It cost over £500,000 to replace all the glass, but every single one of the buildings that had the fake glass installed has now had it replaced, and they are all completely safe. Today, Colin is hoping the courts will serve Mr. Lafferty a fitting sentence, and he's not disappointed.
The court here today imposed a sentence of 2 years. 12 months of that is served in custody and 12 months on licence.
Mr. Lafferty pleaded guilty to 16 counts of fraud and will have plenty of time to reflect on his actions whilst behind bars.
One cannot underestimate the potential loss of life here should something have happened at any of these locations. Our priority in this investigation was keeping people safe. I am satisfied with the penalty imposed by this court here today.
Millions of people use reward cards. This one is for Nectar points. As you shop, you earn points which you later spend. But some people have been shocked to discover that the points that they carefully saved have disappeared. That's because the cards are being faked and the points are being spent and sold by criminals. And for one woman, it was very bad news.
Nothing was going to stop this river, not even the town's flood defences.
In 2015, just 3 weeks before Christmas, the beautiful Lake District was transformed into a disaster zone. Local resident Morag Little's house was hit hard.
5th of December. It was the worst day of my life.
After days of heavy rain, rivers burst their banks and the Lake District fell victim to widespread flooding.
All you could do basically was sit and watch the water rise. It's destroying. It's not nice to watch, but you can't do anything about it.
Morag and her family were sheltered in temporary accommodation, which was far from ideal.
We had nothing. I didn't have pans, I didn't have cutlery, I had nothing.
While many people in this situation would just be thinking about insurance and clean-up, Morag had a different plan: to use her carefully collected Nectar points to give her and her family at least a little bit of Christmas cheer. Like millions of Brits, Morag had been stashing away her Nectar points. We save them for big occasions, and for some, they are saved for a rainy day. You're given points every time you shop, and once you've collected a few, those points are turned into pounds. For the canny consumer, it's an easy way to treat yourself.
I collect Nectar points. I've just spent them in there just now.
Well, you shop, the more you get back, which is the reward scheme, which is what we were looking for.
I save the points up every year and then just knock them out at Christmas on drink normally.
Nectar cards offer loyalty points that can be collected from shops right across the high street, and they're the most popular on the market. 19 million Brits have one, and believe it or not, almost £500 million worth of points are saved in Britain each year. And Morag collected her fair share. She regularly does the rather large family shop at her local Sainsbury's and has collected Nectar points for the last 10 years.
I use my Nectar card every day. Because I shop online a lot, and my children do as well, my gas and electricity, I get Nectar points with that. So it's not just shopping, it's everything basically.
And it certainly paid off. By the end of each year, Morag normally clocked up around £200 worth of points. It was just a couple of weeks before Christmas when Morag's house flooded, so she decided to use the £200 worth of Nectar points she'd squirreled away to buy a few treats to lift her family's spirits over the festive period. But after heading down to the local supermarket and loading her trolley, Morag tried to pay with her Nectar points. She was about to receive some bad news.
I'd got my stuff, went to the cash till, and the woman said, "Oh, you've got zero balance." And I said, "What?" And I said, "Are you sure?" And I'm thinking, "Oh, that can't be right." And you know, when the lady gives the card back, and I'm looking at it thinking, is it my card? And I said, "I'm sure I've got 200 and something pounds." And she said no, and she showed me, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was absolutely devastated.
Little did Morag know, her Nectar points had been stolen. And this is how it works. Hackers are gaining access to people like Morag's online Nectar card accounts. They are then able to steal their points and transfer them onto a fake Nectar card using a basic card reader. The fraudster can then spend or sell the hard-earned points. It's sophisticated cyber fakery, and as Morag found out, we have no idea it's happened until it's too late.
They did say to me they'd been used in Argos down in London, and I said, well, that's impossible because I'd never been to London.
Someone had created a fake Nectar card using Morag's points and gone out on a bit of a spending spree at her expense. But the cost to her family was that the Christmas they so desperately needed had suffered another major setback.
To us, it was a lifeline, but that lifeline disappeared because somebody took it away from us.
But Morag is not alone. As she took to the web for an explanation for her disappearing points, she was in for a bit of a shock.
I was far from being the first person to be on it, but some of the stories, it was unreal. I mean, people had lost so much money, and it just seemed to be the same story over and over and over again.
Elad Ben-Meir from internet security firm Cyber Inc. has seen a growing trend in fake nectar cards, which sadly is now big business. And we found out it all takes place on something you may or may not have heard of, called the dark web.
It's just like the normal internet, but it's not traceable. So people, criminals mostly, would communicate on the dark web on various forums without leaving a trace behind them.
The dark web can be accessed through any computer, but be warned, it's where a lot of illegal activity takes place.
The dark web includes a variety of things, usually bad things, all the way from stolen credit cards, stolen credentials, to stuff that's really kind of bad, like child pornography and weapon selling.
To shed some light on fake nectar cards, Elad and his colleague are searching through some forums on the dark web used by criminals. They're on the hunt for any traces of fake cards.
So finding these is pretty easy.
And almost immediately he finds something of interest.
We can see nectar accounts being sold. There was a range there of between £50 to £55 on those accounts. Cybercriminals then get a hold of these lists, which can include tens of thousands to even millions.
But the details of hijacked nectar card accounts, which can be transferred onto a fake card ready for spending, aren't the only things criminals are selling. As Elad searches deeper into the depths of the dark web, he discovers criminals are selling fake cards preloaded with points from stolen accounts.
For example, this is a nectar card with a balance of £25, which is being sold on this specific marketplace.
Because this fakery takes place through the dark web, it's almost impossible to catch the criminals responsible. And it's estimated thousands of Brits have already been duped. We spoke to Nectar, who told us they are aware that some customers' points have been stolen this way, and that they update their systems on an ongoing basis to avoid this happening. They also stated they will always reimburse any affected customer. For Morag, Nectar refunded her stolen points within 48 hours, and her Christmas came together in the end. But for millions of you British shoppers out there using Nectar cards, you've been warned. Check your points in case you've fallen foul of the fakers. The takeaway is a mainstay of the British diet. Unbelievably, we now order 22 million of them every week, and as a nation we embrace all kinds of different styles and tastes. I ordered a Caribbean goat curry, and hopefully that's what arrived, because the fakers are taking a big bite out of this business. We should always get exactly what we order, but what you get on your plate isn't always what you see on the menu. Britain's appetite for Caribbean food is at an all-time high, with restaurants serving Jamaican-inspired cuisine popping up all over the place. At his North London restaurant, Chef Shane Gordon has never been busier.
You just feel the Caribbean. Once you step through the door, you feel the Caribbean by the atmosphere around you. You know, so you just know this is a place to be.
But unfortunately, many diners out there are being conned into buying fake goat, with restaurants palming off cheaper meats such as lamb and mutton as genuine goat meat. Today, West Yorkshire Trading Standards Officer Jo Hamer is on a mission to flush out the fakes. She's going to visit a number of takeaway restaurants in and around Leeds. She will purchase dishes that are advertised as goat, then have them tested to find out whether they're selling goat or a fake.
First part of call today is a Caribbean takeaway. I'm hopeful that we won't be misled and I will get what I asked for, which is a goat curry. But following results that we've had previously, unfortunately, there's a likelihood that it isn't actually going to be goat, but it'll be something else instead.
The takeaways on today's hit list have been chosen at random and have no idea Jo is on her way.
Okay, we're just coming up to the premises now, so as long as it's open for business, I'll go in and do a test purchase.
To avoid arousing suspicion, Jo will pose as a customer and won't reveal her true identity until the food's in the bag. Fingers crossed she doesn't get rumbled.
Yes, I placed an order for curry goat, which was displayed on the menu on the premises, posed as a customer. I was given the curry, paid for it, and then I let them know who I was. The owner wasn't present at the time, but I've got their details should I need to contact them when the results come back.
With one sample of potentially fake goat meat bagged and tagged, it's swiftly on to the next. A total of 6 samples were collected. Now it's over to the lab to find out if any are fake. Public analyst Duncan Campbell has dedicated years to fighting food fraud and wastes no time putting the dubious dinners through their paces.
So the curries come in, they're generally meat in a sauce. So what we would do is take the meat out of the sauce and we extract the DNA from the meat.
And after checking the meat inside the 6 curries sold as genuine goat against other farmyard animals, the results are in.
There's no goat DNA, no pig DNA, no horse DNA, no cow DNA. The only meat DNA we're finding in the sample is from sheep.
So, one of the goat curries actually contains no goat at all. But there's more worrying news. As the team tests the other 5 samples, they discover they all have one thing in common.
All of them have turned out to be sheep.
6 out of 6 are fake. Every single one sold as a goat curry contained either lamb or mutton. An astonishing discovery that's difficult to digest.
Normally we find issues between 30 and 40% of samples, but it's very unusual, particularly when it's routine sampling, to have a hit rate of 100%. 6 out of 6 samples, not what they say they are.
And news that us Brits could be grazing away on mutton dressed as goat doesn't come as welcome news to discerning diners.
I'm really shocked that it's as high as that. Being told that you're eating goat and it's not goat, that's ridiculous. That's a bit scary, actually.
That angers me a lot because that's just false advertising.
It's as simple as really you should get what you pay for.
Especially if it's 100%. You know, you would expect at least a couple to be fair in their trading.
Having it served up, not many people are going to be able to distinguish whether it's actually goat meat. So it's kind of, they're doing it knowing that they're going to get away with it.
If I'm paying to get goat, essentially I want goat meat. I don't want anything, I don't want a cheap substitute, I don't want anything else.
I'm pretty much the same as most British people. We don't complain, we just pay, eat and go and then moan about it all the way home.
Chef Shane Gordon, who prepares genuine goat curries in his North London Caribbean restaurant, is far from impressed.
You must sell what you advertise. They're making more money because they're buying the cheap meat and selling it for goat to make more money. You can't be fake, or it's like you're cheating people then. You know? So it's wrong. It's definitely wrong. You cannot do that to people.
To ensure he's serving genuine goat meat to his customers, Shane only buys his meat from a butcher's he trusts.
This is my butcher's, and that's where proper original goat, We don't use lamb or mutton for goat, we use goat. This is a whole goat. If it was a whole sheep, it would be shorter.
Genuine goat shoulder sells for around £14 per kilo.
Okay, all right. See you later, Miguel.
A hefty price compared to around £8 for the same cut of mutton. Tasty profits for the bakers, but for the poor diners, it comes at a cost.
The goat have more flavour to it, and the meat are more, tender, and, I just know that the goat is just way, way better than lamb. It makes me, I wouldn't say hungry, but feel bad to know that people out there can cheat people like that, which is wrong.
Back at West Yorkshire Trading Standards headquarters, having discovered that all of the 6 restaurants chosen at random are selling fakes, Jo now has her work cut out, taking the necessary action to bring those responsible to justice.
We take the matter very seriously. It's misleading customers. It could be cultural, it could be religious. They might not want to eat the substitution. They may not eat lamb or mutton, so it's very important that customers get what they think they're getting.
And it's not just a goat. Later, we reveal one of the most shocking cases of fake food that devastated an entire community.
The thought that they may have caused, tens and hundreds of others to eat something they should not have. For some people, it's going to be life-changing.
The fakers will obviously go to great lengths to stop what they're selling being discovered by the authorities. We've seen fakes concealed in cars, hidden under floors, and even stashed away behind fake walls. And now we've discovered fakes in underground tunnels beneath the streets of London. Over the last 7 years, Fake Britain has followed the authorities as they hunted down and locked up those responsible for selling fake and counterfeit goods to unsuspecting consumers.
Organised crime groups have seen there's ways of making money out of fake goods. The fakers are taking the money off consumers and handing them bad quality fake goods, and that's what really upsets me.
From bootleg handbags to dangerous fake phone chargers, each year the authorities seize millions of pounds of counterfeit goods from shops all over Britain.
It's concerning that there's a lot of effort going into the types of fake goods that are being made, the quantities of fake goods that are being brought into the UK, and the different designs that they're copying, how quickly they're copying them.
But the more the authorities clamp down, the more cunning ways the counterfeiters will go in order to hide and disguise their moody merchandise.
They're putting goods off-site, they're finding novel ways of hiding it in the shops. The fakers are getting a lot more savvy. They're finding new ways to hide things so that trading standards can't seize them.
It's mid-morning in Camden, North London. Today, officers from Trading Standards and the Anti-Counterfeiting Group are preparing to raid a series of high street shops they believe are selling fake watches, clothing and electricals. At the helm is Trading Standards' Dave Hunt.
Right, good morning. Thank you all for coming out. It's day one of a 2-day operation in the area. We'll go into the shop initially, identify ourselves, tell them what's going on, and then invite you in, and we'll go from there. The raids today are to disrupt the criminal activity, to remove the fake goods, and protect the consumers that are out there buying these fakes, sometimes believing that they're the real goods and paying real prices for them.
Dave has a tip-off that the shops they're targeting may be taking some extreme measures to disguise their dodgy dealings.
One of the shops, we've tried to get into the basement before. We believe there's fake goods, but we don't know what else is in there. So today, we want to get into that area and find out what's in it. Everybody please keep their eyes open. If you see anything you're not happy with, let myself or Graham know, and we will do the necessary regarding that. Let's hope we have a good day. Okay.
The suspect shops are all located in this area. It's a hotspot for tourists, so Dave wants to make sure they're not flying home with suitcases full of fakes. Once the team are in the first shop on today's hit list, they don't have to look far to locate potential fakes. Starting with watches.
So these are Boss Rolex, another Rolex.
As the suspected fakes are bagged and tagged, Dave heads straight for the entrance to the shop's basement. The last time Dave visited, the inner door was locked, and he suspects the shopkeeper may be using the basement to hide more counterfeit gear.
Where's the keys?
The shopkeeper comes back with a key.
Last time I came to this shop, I was unable to get in here. It was locked, and nobody said they had the keys.
And Dave is certainly not disappointed. The basement is stacked full of what appears to be fake clothing, footwear and sportswear. Much more extensive than they found on the shop floor.
Other rucksacks, Tommy Hilfiger bags, these are all fake. This is what I knew there was a lock up here somewhere.
It's a massive find, but that's not all. Bizarrely, the basement appears to have an underground tunnel.
Part of the problem with these shops is they're rabbit warrens of basements that go under the road and under neighbouring shops as well. So yeah, they use these areas to hide things. We have found whole other shops in the basement. They're totally separate, but accessed through the main shop.
As Dave heads further into the underground tunnel, he could be about to find more than he bargained for.
These stairs have been recently built. And we have CCTV up here. This states it's a fire door and is alarmed. So going through the door into another storeroom.
Dave is joined by anti-counterfeiting groups Graham Moore. They're going to make a surprising discovery.
Hello! We've come through the back of the shop. Surprise, surprise. All right. Right. Obviously, we're doing an inspection next door. As I've come through the back of the shop, I'm going to do an inspection here. Yeah, okay. Okay. Obviously, it's a link between the two shops. It goes through to the storeroom, and in that storeroom, we found even more counterfeit goods.
Dave is one happy chap.
Yeah, we're carrying out more disruption operations in the area, and to avoid our disruption operations, they're coming up with new novel methods of hiding it under the floor, in tunnels, in what would be the old coal cellars, so that they don't think we're going to find it. Unfortunately for them, I find it usually.
Dave and Graham now have two shops to search, and it doesn't take Graham long to weed out some suspected fake handbags.
You see there's some bags here that have had labels removed, and you can actually see the MK indent in the bag there. So they would have been purporting them to be Michael Kors and other branded handbags, but it's been removed obviously, and without the badge on it, it's not infringing.
Dave thinks he knows what's going on.
If the design of the handbag isn't registered, as some of the bags are registered, the actual shape of it, then unfortunately the fake bag can't be taken. But if we find the bags with the badges, then obviously we have the items then to make fakes, and that's an offence, and we can take them.
It's coming with this badge. It's got inside.
So who puts the badges on it?
I don't know.
Well, somebody has, haven't they?
I don't know that.
Yeah, yeah.
You have to go and search with the...
You tell me where?
I don't want to tell you.
Huh?
Graham knows to expose fakery, they need to locate the branded badges. And there's good news.
One of the reps has found one of the Michael Kors badges, as we saw earlier with the bag, and the holes in the bag. This would clip on the bag and quite easily be fitted, and then turns the bag into a fake item.
The handbags are seized, but Dave suspects there may be other ways that the customers may be confused about what they're actually buying. He has a hunch genuine goods are mixed up with the fakes to make it difficult for customers to know what might be real and what might be fake.
So these items are legal, but they are mixing it with items that are fake, so it's hard for the public to actually know what they're buying, what is real and what's not.
They may fool the buyers, but they can't fool trading standards, as it's turning into a busy afternoon seizing the suspected fake stuff, along with the usual array of fake fodder, such as Beats headphones, clothing, footwear and watches. There are some nasty-looking electricals.
The worst worrying thing so far is the laptop chargers and the electrical items, because they're unsafe. They could cause fires, so the risk to human injury is quite high.
All the goods are bagged and tagged and will be transported back to Camden Trading Standards HQ for further examination.
We've seized a significant amount of counterfeit goods, including goods that are unsafe. We're moving them out of the marketplace.
With counterfeit goods in excess of £10,000 seized, as well as lifting the lid on the underground tunnels, it's been a successful day at the office for Dave and the team.
This was a very good day. We've had a successful operation. We're going to keep an eye on these traders. We will be contacting the landlords to make them aware of what is going on in their premises.
Earlier, we saw West Yorkshire Trading Standards discover unscrupulous restaurants and takeaways selling fake goat meat.
Got the curry.
They're passing off cheaper meats, mutton and lamb, as genuine goat.
6 out of 6 samples, not what they say they are.
Leicester is a city with one of the highest proportion of Muslims in the UK. Most of the meat on sale in areas with a large Muslim community is halal, which is meat slaughtered in accordance with strict Islamic guidelines. But then, a worrying case of fake lamb discovered in one of Leicester's restaurants landed on the desk of Trading Standards officer Ronald Ruddock. He was very concerned, but he didn't at that stage know the full implications for the local community.
The background to this case, it came to us following an inspection carried out by our food safety team, who had sampled a lamb curry and found that there's no lamb in this at all. We were shocked, almost to the point of, can you double check that?
Further lamb samples were taken from a number of local restaurants and takeaways in and around Leicester. But bizarrely, all the dishes sold as lamb had one very surprising thing in common.
It was supposed to be lamb. When it was sent off to the analyst, it came back as 100% turkey, and as a result, an investigation was carried out to ascertain the source of that meat.
Ronald feared the restaurants were all buying the fake lamb, which was actually turkey from the same supplier, a company called Dutch Bangler Limited, which appeared to be based in Peterborough. The team wasted no time executing search warrants at a number of addresses linked to the company. And this is what they found.
This is a photograph of how the meat was presented to the purchasers. To the appearance of it was very much like the carcass of lamb.
But in this case, appearances turned out to be deceiving.
The food inspectors that went out held up this turkey against a lamb carcass just to show how close it appeared. We were very surprised that turkey could ever be mistaken for lamb. Well, even to a trained eye, it looked right, they looked sophisticated.
But it wasn't just the meat that was being faked. Ronald also had concerns about the packaging.
What we have is the vacuum-packed meat, and what we have on it is labelled boneless lamb leg and details of the supplier and their unique number on the labels. To all intents and purposes, that looks like a genuine label.
These labels are a legal requirement for the sale of meat, which allow the authorities to track the animal's origin.
This business is a genuine business, but it didn't supply this meat. And this number, which would normally relate to this business, related to another genuine business, and again, it didn't supply the meat in question.
Turkey can be purchased for as little as £1 per kilo. But what this man, Mahmoud Roman, and his partner in crime, Karmal Rahman, were doing was selling turkey as fake lamb for up to £7.25 a kilo.
It is a big money maker. What we discovered was around 116,000 kilograms of turkey having been brought in during the 22-month period that we looked at in the investigation.
That's enough meat to make around 64,000 curries. Trading Standards had just uncovered one of the biggest cases of fake food the team had ever seen.
Over the 22-month period that we investigated, we think they've made anything between £380,000 and £700,000.
But there was a more sinister side to this fakery. The fake lamb was being sold exclusively to Leicester's Muslim community, and buyers were issued with a certificate claiming it was halal meat. But Ronald was about to find evidence to suggest otherwise.
The certificate that was being produced was a fake. Without the certificate, they would struggle to sell the meat.
This meant Leicester's Muslim community had been unwittingly eating non-halal meat, and the impact was huge. Talha Ahmed is the treasurer of the Muslim Council of Britain and knows just how much this fake halal meat affected the people of Leicester.
From a religious point of view, it is a crime to eat something which is not permissible. Some people would simply be disgusted even to think that they may have eaten something which is not halal. And some people would literally fall sick. You know, it will happen. I'm telling you, it will happen. Some people would literally be sick thinking that they may have eaten something which is not halal.
To make matters worse, many of Leicester's halal restaurants, butchers and takeaways have been duped into buying this fake halal lamb and have been unwittingly selling it to their customers.
From the restaurateur's point of view, they may have eaten themselves some of it which they should not have, but the thought that they may have caused, tens and hundreds of others to eat something they should not have, I think it is going to haunt a good number of them. And also for some people, it's going to be life-changing.
The community now find it hard to retain confidence in the food they're eating.
The impact is going to be now your trust gone, your confidence gone. Many people will reduce their diet. They will not be eating meat unless they can be absolutely certain that they can.
But for the fraudsters responsible, their days of selling fake halal lamb were numbered. After a 5-week trial, the two men behind the fakery, Mahmoud Roman and Kamil Rahman, were both sentenced to 5 years in prison for conspiracy to commit fraud.
It is a good outcome, and it does reflect not only the fraud but the impact that fraud had on the community.
That's all from Fake Britain. Goodbye.
Get on! Get on the floor now! Put your hands behind your back now!
Here at the Fake Britain House, we'll reveal the fakes that are flooding the market, conning people like you and me, and making money for the criminals. We'll investigate the fraudsters who are selling us something that isn't real and could be dangerous, and will help you avoid falling for a fake. Today on Fake Britain, fake fire-resistant glass installed in British buildings.
If a fire had broken out, the results could have been catastrophic.
Fake nectar cards that are leaving thousands deceived and disappointed.
To us, it was a lifeline, but that lifeline disappeared because somebody took it away from us.
The fake halal meat con that targeted a huge Muslim community.
Some people would literally be sick thinking that they may have eaten something which is not halal.
And officers reveal the hidden tunnels beneath a London high street.
They're hiding it in the old coal cellars. Unfortunately for them, I find it usually.
The devastation caused by fire has never been so much in people's minds, so the need to be reassured about a building's fire safety is more important than ever. Fire-resistant glass is used in thousands of places like hospitals, schools and offices. It's designed to save lives by holding back the flames. If your life depended on this, however, you'd be in trouble. It's fake. It won't stop a fire, and it was discovered in many buildings across the country. Fire can break out in a building at any time.
So I went to the kitchen, I've opened the window, I can hear shouting and screaming, someone going, it's getting bigger, it's getting bigger.
It's tragic occurrences like the Grenfell Tower that reinforce just how important it is for buildings to have the correct fire safety measures in place.
Everyone's just in shock, you know, they cheered, and it went right up, there weren't no stopping it.
When fire rips through large buildings, key escape routes must be constructed to hold back the fire and smoke to allow people to get out alive. When buildings are made of glass, it's even more complex. Escape routes must be built with a specialist fire-resistant glass which is designed to withstand both flames and heat. Jim Flynn at the London Fire Brigade knows just how important this product is.
When you've got a normal pane of glass that is subjected to a fire and the heat, that would generally fracture and fail. So the fire safety glass prevents that from happening, as a solid wall and a door would do.
But what would the consequences be if it was fake? Sadly, it's a question Detective Sergeant Colin Gray from the Police Service of Northern Ireland was forced to answer. Colin received a worrying tip-off suggesting a company in Northern Ireland called Glassworks Ireland, headed up by this man, Seamus Lafferty, was supplying fake fire-resistant glass to construction companies all over Britain.
Contractors in Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland approached Glassworks Ireland with a view to getting a genuine fire safety glass for their numerous projects, and I have a section of it here with me.
Colin was concerned that if the fire-resistant glass was fake and had been installed in British buildings, it could have huge repercussions. And as the suspect glass was examined, Colin's worst fears were confirmed.
What Glassworks Ireland were doing was applying that stamp to the glass. That then deceived their client base into believing that this was a genuine fire glass, when in fact it was fake.
The fake stamp was etched with a logo belonging to PyroGuard, a company that has been manufacturing genuine fire-resistant glass for over 30 years. And Colin discovered Mr. Lafferty further deceived his buyers by supplying fake safety certificates.
This certificate shows the type of glass that has been installed, it shows the specification of that glass, and it shows you how to look after that glass. It reinforced to the customer that they were receiving a genuine product, but in fact the glass was fake.
But that wasn't the only worrying find. Colin had discovered the fake fire-resistant glass had already been installed in a number of public buildings, including schools, churches and hospitals. If a fire broke out and the fake fire-resistant glass didn't hold back the flames like the genuine glass, Colin knew thousands of lives could be lost. Without a second to waste, Colin sent a sample of the fake glass to Pyroguard, the company who make this genuine fire-resistant glass. Vincent Crook carried out an immediate assessment.
On the face of it, it might not be clear that this wasn't fire-resistant.
But as Vincent examined it further, the truth of the shocking fakery was revealed.
If I have a look at the edge here, you can see the interlayer is suspiciously thin. Well, I don't know any fire-resistant glasses, certainly not Pyroguard. There's an interlayer as thin as that.
Vincent is going to test the fake glass to see how it would react in a real fire.
Thanks, Ian. We're going to subject the glass to 730 degrees quite rapidly here. This is something like the situation you'll see in a real fire.
Now remember, this glass would be used to protect an exit route in the event of a fire, and the claim is it will hold out for 60 minutes.
3 minutes into the test, a little bit of smoke there, we can see the glass is bubbling. The interlayer now is starting to boil in between the two layers of glass.
In less than 6 minutes, the fake fire-resistant glass is literally in pieces.
Well, these fakes are very dangerous. The glass is put there by building regulations, stipulated that you should have 60-minute fire resistance for a reason, so people can escape a building in a fire situation, so that the glass can hold the fire back and allow people to escape. This glass isn't holding fire back at all. It's not allowing people to escape in time, therefore endangering people's lives.
Both Vincent and Colin now knew they were dealing with some serious fakery that could have grave consequences.
This glass is fake. It is not fire glass.
It would decompose very quickly and is very likely to catch fire.
When that goes on fire, it gives off the toxic fumes.
We had a lot of smoke to the environment. It would make the situation worse than the initial fire in the first place.
In effect, creating a death trap.
There's been a lot of lives put at risk here unnecessarily.
As Jim from the London Fire Brigade casts his eye over the test footage, he's disturbed by the potential loss of life this fake fire-resistant glass could have caused.
To go down a corridor with this glass fitted would be a risk to their lives, to be honest, after it's caught fire after 6 minutes. That is extremely shocking. Hypothetically, if we'd had a fire within one of these, for example, a boarding school where you've got people that are sleeping and this fire safety glass, the fake stuff was fitted in the escape routes and a fire did occur, I'd be extremely concerned for the people making their escape past it.
It doesn't even bear thinking about. Mr. Lafferty intentionally put thousands of people's lives at risk in order to line his pockets. The fake fire-resistant glass was actually standard laminate glass, which Mr. Lafferty was buying for around £12 a square metre. He sold it as fire-resistant glass for up to £240 a square metre, which earned him around £145,000. And the sheer scale of the fake glass Colin discovered is equally as shocking.
We have an excess of 20 to 30 tonnes of glass here behind me, and there's still approximately